Now to Canada, where they're voting in federal elections overshadowed by Donald Trump's tariffs and annexation threats. The snap election will decide Canada's new Prime Minister after a campaign dominated by the trade war with the United States, Canada's largest trading partner. The Liberal Party leader, Prime Minister Mark Carney, called the election after taking over from Justin Trudeau. His main political rival is Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. The winner of the race will have to confront Donald Trump's aggressive policies. Our correspondent Janelle Dumalaon is in Canada covering the election and told me how the day is shaping up.
I'm standing here at the Canada Museum of Nature, one of the many polling stations here set up in Ottawa. And as you can tell behind me, it's been a little bit slow. You see some people there in line waiting to get into the polling station that is just off camera. They've been trickling in and out since polling stations opened here at around 9:30 Eastern Time. Now, I haven't seen mile-long lines in any of the polling stations that I have visited today, but that could be down to the 7.3 million people who handed in their ballots early. That is a record early voter turnout here in Canada. But of course, you do have some people who waited until today to do that. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was spotted handing in his ballot here in a polling station in Ottawa. We don't know if we're going to get a record overall turnout just yet, but worth noting that there really has been a high level of engagement in this election. And not just among Canadians, we also heard from U.S. President Donald Trump posting on Truth Social today in what appeared to be a pitch to Canadians to elect him, once again reiterating his wish to make Canada the 51st state. So exactly what Canadians don't want to hear, exactly what has Canadians get their elbows up, and what has animated so much of their votes going into this election.
And the American president does seem to have influenced the way that people are casting their votes. This time at the start of the year, it was almost certain the Conservative candidate, Pierre Poilievre, would win. But with the president threatening Canada's sovereignty, things seem to have changed drastically. What have people been telling you today?
You know, that's exactly what happened. So at the beginning of the year, the Conservatives had more than a 20-point lead over the Liberals. And that lead has basically just vanished amid Trump's threats to Canada's sovereignty and economic security. Canadians started casting a ballot for an anti-Trump figure. Worth noting that the Liberals' Mark Carney has very much cast himself as that figure, the one who could defend Canada from the threat of Donald Trump. But it's worth noting, of course, also that this still remains a very tight race. The lead that the Liberals have over the Conservatives just makes up a few percentage points. Canadians have so much on their minds going into this election, and I have been speaking to many of them this morning. Here is what some of them had to say.
Certainly I wanted somebody who had a strong moral compass and someone who had vast experience in financial, certainly worldwide financial dealings, and certainly the Liberal Party under Mark Carney is the best solution for that. It's a very exciting time for Canada. You know, we're going to become more independent from our largest trading partner, and I think he's the man to bring that to fruition.
We have a lot of pressure from our former friends to the south of us, and I want a strong leader in that regard, someone who can really stand up for Canada.
Well, I guess it's the economy thing and all about the tariff that's been affecting everyone else, and so that's the main thing that I'm concerned about.
Maintaining democracy is probably our biggest concern right now. I think that, you know, sort of the world over, we're starting to face situations where that's coming under fire, and we really need to work together to keep it together and to maintain democracy across all nations.
Well, Janelle, party leaders are all saying this is the most consequential election for a lifetime. What are they saying is at stake?
Well, Phil, as we heard from so many of the voters here, and also a lot of what the party leaders are saying, essentially the question of this election has been boiled down to who can ward off the threat of Donald Trump so that Canada can chart its own way forward domestically and globally. The fact of the matter is that both party leaders and voters see an existential threat coming from the U.S. So you have the threats to annex Canada, although nobody knows how realistic that actually is. What is Trump going to do? Is he going to send troops to Canada? It, of course, still offends this very proud nation, this very defined sense of Canadian identity. And with regard to the tariffs, they really are bracing for that deep economic pain that these tariffs are probably going to bring, the damage that it is going to inflict on their industries, on their livelihoods, on their ability to feed their own families. So this isn't just a federal election for many of the Canadians. There is a deep personal dimension to this as well.
Okay, thanks for that, Janelle. US correspondent Janelle Dumalaon in Ottawa. Thank you so much.